The seahorse is a mysterious creature. They can be found in almost every ocean in the world and, contrary to popular belief, can be found on the coastline of the British Isles. Neil Garrick Maidment has invested a lot of time into helping conserve the seahorse species.
There's a lot of reasons why I like seahorses. I mean, the most obvious is they're such an unusual animal. I mean, you've got a male that gives birth. They've got this incredible skeletal body. They can change colour like chameleons. They have eyes that move independently. As you can see by this one going past us, they just swim so beautifully as well. It's a tiny little fin on the back which actually allows them to swim along. And you can see this incredibly curled tail. That tail is actually prehensile and will hold on to all sorts of things in storms and strong currents and what have you. So everything you see about a seahorse is really unusual, very unlike other fish. They're just not like your typical sort of fish, really. We have two different species of seahorse in the British Isles here. We have the short-snouted seahorse and we have the spiny seahorse, and they're very different. As the name suggests, the spiny seahorse has this amazing mane of spines on its head and back, and the short-snouted seahorse, as its name suggests, has a slightly shorter snout to the spiny seahorse. But they do live in two different types of habitat. They can be found in the same areas together, but on the whole, the spiny seahorse lives amongst seagrass beds. The short-snouted seahorse lives in rocks, marinas, short algae, and even on open silt and sand. We have the two species at Studland, but it's predominantly the spiny seahorse. It's a beautiful seahorse and very well adapted to Studland Bay. I mean, it's stunning adapted, and when you see them underwater in the wild, you can see why it has this mane of spines on its head and down its back, because it just disappears. We can be watching seahorses underwater, it'll turn away from us and just drift off, and it's gone. That's it, vanishes in front of our eyes.
The National Trust owns the beautiful 4-mile stretch of sand dunes, heath and scrub at Studland Bay in Dorset. The picturesque site is an ideal location for beachgoers to enjoy the Dorset coastline in its full glory.
Studland's very unique. It's a very shallow bay, a beautiful enclosed bay, and it's mainly seagrass. We have this amazing long grass that actually grows under the water, and it's the only type of plant that flowers underwater. So Studland is this huge seagrass bed and very vital to the inhabitants there. We know there are seahorses in Dorset, and they're a great indicator of what's actually happening in the wild. Without a healthy population of seahorses, without a healthy habitat that seahorses live in, you don't have a healthy environment. So to understand more about seahorses, to keep the population stable and if not thriving, shows that the ocean there and the sea is actually in a fantastic condition. One of the main problems we have at Studland Bay, because it is a multi-use site and because there are a lot of boats down there, I mean, on any day in the summer, you can get up to 300 boats going into the bay. Now, what we're trying to do is encourage people to put in environmentally friendly moorings. So the boats come along, they moor up to the mooring, it doesn't cause damage to the seabed.
Up to 300 boats on a summer's day can moor at South Beach. The anchors from the boats are thought to be destroying the seahorse's natural habitat, so a voluntary no-anchor zone was implemented in October 2009. The zone is now an area of 100 metres squared, which has been sectioned off for 2 years to see if the eelgrass can replenish and regrow.
Back in 2004, we actually found out that there's a special area in Dorset called Studland Bay where they have a very high population of seahorses. In any 1 year, we can have up to 5,000 volunteers helping the trust out, whether they're doing stuff independently and they're surveying seabeds for us, or they're just talking to people on our behalf, or just getting involved in what we're actually doing. With the tagging project, one of the things that we rely on is actually lots of volunteers helping us, and one of our main volunteers is a chap called Steve Treller, and Steve and I actually do a lot of diving together and we tag the seahorse together, so he's a very valuable part of the tagging project, and without Steve and his partner finding the seahorses at Studland in the first place, we wouldn't be having such a fantastic project.
The tagging project was initiated by the Seahorse Trust to find out more about the biology and behaviour of British seahorses. We know little or nothing about them. We know we have them, but it stops there. So we tagged the seahorses. We've tagged 5 seahorses altogether, including 2 breeding pairs. Since the tagging project started, we've found out that we've had about 30 repeat sightings of them. We never really expected to ever see them again. We go back every week and we've found both of the pairs together in fairly small territories. So now we know that seahorses in the UK are territorial. They breed for at least a season, at least a summer season. One of our males has been pregnant 3 times throughout the summer. When we find a seahorse, we'll pick it up and we'll keep the tag on our fingers. It's a very simple process. You just put the tag over its neck, then we photograph the tag on the side of the seahorse's neck. So we've got the number and the profile of the seahorse. All seahorses have a different face, like all other animals. So then we have a photographic data set of each seahorse with its tag, and then simply tuck the tag underneath its neck and put it back on the seabed. And they're not disturbed by this process. They will just twist their their tails around a piece of seagrass and carry on like nothing's happened. We felt because seahorses are a protected species in the UK that anything invasive would be counterproductive, and it's just you're not actually injecting anything into the seahorse. You're not physically taking anything off the seahorse. The tags have been proven to work. We've seen them work. They've been out there all year. They're fine.
The Seahorse Trust was brought together as an umbrella organisation. The whole idea was to bring like-minded people together who are interested particularly in seahorses, but also about the marine environment, to actually work together using the seahorses as the flagship species, so that we can make a difference, so we can actually educate people about the seahorses in the marine world, so we can actually learn about seahorses, what makes them tick, all about the ecology of seahorses, so we can actually captive breed seahorses as well and work in partnership with other people from the captive breeding point of view as well. We work very closely with lots of different organisations right around the world. We're doing projects with like the University of Malta, we're doing stuff in Australia, etc, etc. But on our breeding programmes, we work very closely with the Sea Life Centres. The Sea Life Centres have a big breeding programme for quite a number of different species of seahorse. We recently got some big-bellied seahorses from the Sea Life Centre in Weymouth, which is fantastic news. So it's a new species we're working with. We've worked with them in the past, but never from Weymouth.
Yeah, down here at Weymouth we've got quite a successful breeding programme with the seahorses. We breed loads of different species, tropical and native. Basically we look after the fry, we feed them up, and then we can remate with different generations and things just to keep the populations going.
It's going to be great having these there, because we haven't got this species at Escott at the moment. So
Me and Neil liaise about the native seahorses mostly. We've both got want to get a bit of a breeding programme going with them, because I know Neil does a lot of work out tagging them and things like that. We're just there for support and research purposes really.
what we're trying to do is actually get a couple of male seahorses from the Sea Life Centre so that I can take them back to the Seahorse Trust at Escott, so we can actually pair out the females that we've got. But at the moment we've got one female of each of the 2 English species and we need 2 males. So Emily's kindly catching us these males so that we can actually take them back to Escott and hopefully have little seahorse babies.
Obviously the seahorses in the UK have recently been protected. We're trying to breed them in captivity just so we can learn things from them, things like breeding patterns, any behaviours, things like that, so that anything that we spot in the wild we can sort of identify. It's also really important for educational purposes, letting people know that there's even seahorses in these waters. I think some people are quite shocked at that, but just trying to teach them, why they need protecting. They're obviously a very important species, and it'd be a shame to see them go.
Hopefully, once we get them back to Escort, let them settle in, we'll start having little seahorse babies then for the breeding project.
Have to let me know how you get on. Probably get about a 70% success rate with the fry. I know in the wild it can be up to about 6 to 10% success rate, so we definitely do well here.
The Seahorse Trust were responsible for making sure the seahorses are now a protected species under the Wildlife and Countryside Act. Less than 1% of the UK seas are protected from destructive activities like fishing and construction. With the help of the Seahorse Trust and other organisations, people can be educated and made aware of how precious this special environment is, not just to the seahorses but the other species that thrive there as well.
We actually have lots of people involved in the trust. We have our patrons, so we have Kate Humble, Chris Packham, Nick Baker, and now Kirsty Jones, who's the world's woman kite surfing champion. Plus we have trustees as well that oversee the work of the trust, make sure I'm doing my job properly. It's an all-encompassing trust, and we hopefully we get a lot of people from different walks of life involved with us. Now, there was about 1 million seahorses a year taken just for the aquarium trade, and out of that 1 million, probably less than 1% would survive more than a few weeks, which is appalling, and that's why we encourage people to do captive breeding and work together on breeding programs.
Studdon South Beach is a sort of living laboratory. There's never been an opportunity to study them in the wild or to revisit them. Seahorses are normally a random encounter that divers will see, maybe photograph if they're lucky, and that's the last you ever hear of it. So at this beach you can actually revisit the seahorses, so it's pretty special.
The seahorse is a fantastic sea creature which needs protecting, and we are privileged to have this beautiful species grace our coastlines.